More than 100 years ago, cinemas were still quite outdated. Before a film was released, there would be a priest who was invited to evaluate the film. If he found this movie too vulgar, he would shake the bell. The cinematographer would stand behind to cut those segments, and then just released the movie. This boy really loved watching movies, and often went behind the stage to see. But the cinematographer was extremely busy, and didn't have time to notice the boy. So he wanted to kick the boy out. He tricked the boy. Let's make a small deal together. These microfilms all have to be cut. I give them to you as a gift. However, you must get out of here. And then you aren't allowed to take those microfilms away. Unexpectedly, the boy also agreed. However, the boy wasn't stupid. He quickly reached behind and stole the microfilm. The boy thought this was interesting. Every day after eating, the boy looked at the microfilm to act, and even read lines like a real actor. However, the boy's mother didn't like to let him watch the movie, because the boy watched so passionately. For example, when she told him to go buy milk, he suddenly went to the cinema, and forgot about buying milk. The boy sat at the cinema all day until the movie ended. By this time, his mother was already waiting at the cinema door. After that, the boy was beaten by his mother. Unexpectedly, the cinematographer walked over. He said he picked up 10 euros while cleaning. He told the boy's mother that it was the boy's. He couldn't buy milk because he lost money. He told her not to blame the boy. Before leaving, he silently winked at the boy. Actually, there was no such thing. He was just helping the boy. Since then, the two had become friends. And this cinematographer became the boy's teacher. They often cycled together. One day, when they were cycling on the road, suddenly the boy saw his sister crying, so he wanted to go over to see what happened. However, the mother didn't say anything, just rushed up to beat him. His teacher picked up the microfilms and immediately understood. These were flammable items. His sister was almost burned to death by these, so his mother was furious. The boy's mother not only beat him, but also scolded his teacher a lot. And she told him to swear not to let the boy go to the cinema from now on. The boy's teacher didn't explain, but just followed. Because of this, the boy was very sad. After that, he decided to go see his teacher one last time. After arriving, the boy said he told his mother everything. The boy stole those microfilms himself, and it wasn't related to his teacher. At that time, his teacher said they were very flammable. Hearing that, he thought it was a joke, but he didn't expect it to be true. Saying that, the boy quietly left. Seeing that, his teacher burst into laughter. This boy was very responsible. Then he called him back and told that, "It isn't that I don't want to teach you, but I just want the best for you. I don't want to keep these old things anymore either. I don't have any talent, so I can only do this job. Your life should belong to the outside world. A place of culture and genius, so Roman is your stage." The boy's teacher told about his innermost thoughts. But the boy didn't understand what his teacher was saying, so he was just playing with toys around. This boy was a genius. His teacher had to study for many years to understand well the parts of a video camera. However, the boy had only been seen a few times. He was able to learn. 2 days later, the adult college competition took place. The boy took the exam in the same room as his teacher. He offered to make a deal with his teacher. "If I let you copy, you'll have to teach me how to film." Because his teacher also never learned letters, so he couldn't read. Hearing that, he could only nod in agreement with the boy. Just like that, the boy was finally taught by the teacher. The boy showed all his talents. He had learned a lot in just a few days. One evening, there were a lot of people going to the cinema. Because there was a new movie, everyone wanted to see. However, seats were limited, so viewers had to jostle with each other. On time, the priest closed the door, therefore, everyone had to come the next day. But surprisingly, the audience still didn't give up. They brought chairs to wait in front of the cinema. They begged the priest to open the door, and even told the cinematographer. Meanwhile, the boy and his teacher were standing on the second floor. The teacher asked him, "Do you think I should let them into the cinema to watch a movie?" After that, something unexpected happened. At this time, everyone could watch the movie in a larger space. The square turned into a movie theater. While everyone was having fun watching, there was an incident happening. Suddenly there was a fire on the wall. The teacher didn't pay attention, so the film roll caught on fire. At this point, he was extremely panicked. However, there was only the teacher here. He tried everything to put out the fire. But the film roll was still on fire. The teacher wanted to take down the video camera. But because the temperature of this machine was too high, the fire suddenly flared up. The teacher fell to the ground and was surrounded by fire. Seeing that, everyone just quickly ran away and didn't intend to help. However, at this moment, there was only one person left in the square. That was the boy. The boy quickly dragged his teacher downstairs. The cinema had become a pile of ashes. Fortunately, there was a rich person to help. Half a year later, the cinema was reopened. At that time, in the whole town, there was only the boy who knew how to film. Therefore, he took care of the entire filming. The boy was very talented. There was no problem in the cinema. When the boy turned around to look at the chair behind, he felt like he was missing something. Unexpectedly, the boy's teacher finally returned. The boy was so happy that he ran to hug his teacher. However, his teacher was blind. He knew that this town wasn't for the boy at all. The boy had talent, so his life shouldn't be like him. There had to be a bigger stage for the boy. 20 years had passed, when the boy's teacher touched his face. He felt that the boy had grown up and looked very handsome. Meanwhile, the teacher was getting old. The boy was still passionate about film. So he usually filmed a few things, especially things happening around his life. One day, he looked through the camera lens and accidentally saw a girl. He was so confused and felt like falling in love at first sight. After that, he told this story to his teacher. And his teacher immediately told him another story. The king wants to celebrate his daughter's birthday. There is a soldier falling in love with the princess when seeing her. But he knows that he isn't worthy of her. Once on patrol, he accidentally met the princess. And he confessed to her, saying that if he left her, he wouldn't be able to live. This makes the princess extremely touched. When seeing the soldier's sincerity, she told him, "If you could patiently wait for me on the rooftop every day within 100 days, I will belong to you." After listening, the soldier began to wait. 1 day, 2 days, and then 20 days. The princess sees him every day, from morning to night, despite the rain and wind, until the 90th day. The soldier who used to be so optimistic and healthy has now become a thin man. His tired face probably won't be able to persevere. Meanwhile, the princess is still looking at him without saying anything. 9 more days have passed. On the evening of the 99th, the soldier stood up and left. This story ends here, and don't ask about its meaning. Actually, I don't even know. Because that's youth, and youth often make mistakes. The first love of young men is very vague. But they also dare to fight for it. After listening to the story, every day he waited in front of Elena's house. Just like that, he waited outside her house forever. Until the 100th day, in the quiet night, he still waited. Even if it was raining, he still waited. And then, he even marked each day on the calendar. There were already a lot of days marked on the calendar. Actually, every man had once had a crush on a girl like that. If you were him, would you be willing to do so? Although he tried to show his sincerity to her, he still got nothing. He felt like he really failed. No matter how much he liked her, she still didn't understand. After that, he had to go back to the cinema with a heartbreak. But unexpectedly, Elena appeared. She seemed to have been touched by his sincerity and perseverance. The two were finally together. After that, they had a lot of fun and happy times together. They also picked fruits to make salads, and then ate happily. They even laughed and danced together. Until one day, Elena's father named Paha suddenly appeared. He was a bank staff. He didn't want his daughter to associate with someone like Davida. At this moment, Davida also had to enlist in the army. They had to be apart for a year. Before leaving, he wanted to meet her at the cinema. Davida was standing upstairs to wait for her. However, when it was almost dark, Elena still hadn't appeared. Before leaving, Davida also called many times back to town to ask about her. Everyone said Elena had transferred schools, and no one knew the address. Davida also sent Elena a lot of letters. But the address was always wrong. A year later, Davida returned from the army. His face had grown a lot of beards. He was petting the dog, and when he looked at the broken car, it had become a chicken coop. Davida found his teacher walking by the beach, and asked him about Elena's information. But his teacher said he didn't know either. Maybe this was a predetermined ending. His teacher advised him not to have any regrets, because he was still young, and the future was ahead, and advised him to go to Roman. "Don't stay here anymore. I don't want to have to tell other people's stories every day," his teacher said. "I just want to hear other people tell their stories. You aren't allowed to go home. Don't write letters. Don't stay up late. Otherwise I won't let you see me again. You must love your job. Just like when you were a kid, you used to love the video camera." After that, Davida left and went to Roman. Decades later, he became a famous director. One day, his mother called him to say that his teacher had passed away, and asked if he wanted to go to see his teacher one last time. Hearing that, Davida was very shocked and immediately got on the plane back. His mother said she would give him a surprise. This small room had been kept. Davida saw the microfilms, and there was also his teacher's old video camera. There were even pictures of him from childhood to adulthood. Finally, he saw a picture of his teacher. This teacher was the person who had the biggest influence on his life. During the funeral, the teacher's wife said to Davida, "Don't cry. This is your teacher's testament. He expected you to see him off. You're the one he doesn't want to leave." Until he is about to die, he still misses you. He also left a testament for you and said, DeVita must come get it. After that, he returned to the house but didn't stay for long. At this time, he went to the cinema, then to the stage. He saw his previous half-life. He opened up the video he had filmed as a child. This was his first work. It was also his favorite artwork. There was only one person and a camera in there. At this moment, DeVita was extremely touched. A few days later, he returned to Roman and brought teacher's gift. It was the box containing the film roll, but he didn't know what was inside. Then he told his assistant to put it away. At this point, he was the only one left in the cinema. DeVita was extremely focused to wait. When looking at the video in front of him, he cried and laughed at the same time. He remembered when he was young, his teacher promised to keep these microfilms for him. And finally he did it.